all over the place. What's up, Nigel? All over the place. I just saw him at the Laugh Factory, and it's not biased. He was the funniest person there. So give it up for Jordan Ross! You're so funny. Jordan Rock, comedian. We have a comedian here today. So,
yes.
We're just gonna get right into it. We're just gonna start with love. Yeah. How'd you get love? Regular agent thing, or you knew somebody who knew somebody?
Love was a process. I don't even know how love was that was the universe that got me love. Yeah. Yeah. You see, on brand right there. On brand. Clip this out. I was working in New York as a stand-up comic forever. I finally got an agent, and I moved, and I came to LA just, to do they're like, you should come. You should come.
Right.
And usually they always say that, but they're not paying for you to come. So I'm like, dog, I'm 23. I don't have any way to fly across country to stay. Right. Like, my brother's here. If I get here, I can stay, but like, yeah. Luckily, something happened. Some things gave. I got some money. I made it here for like 5 days. I did a bunch of auditions, and I went to Allison Jones casting. That was like the first place I auditioned, and she had never seen me before. Yeah, she had never seen me before, so she was very surprised that she had never seen me. And they were booking love and pop star at the same time, and they just kept on making me read for all of these parts that didn't exist. Like, none of the parts exist. They were just like, you're a guy, you're an artist, whatever. And later that week, they called me for a general to like talk to someone, and I went and I met them at a Chipotle.
Very professional.
Yeah, it was great. It was we had a great business meeting over Chipotle. And I never heard from them for like a month and some change. And then they called me and said, hey, they're thinking about putting you in love. I'm like, oh, whatever.
Were you already back home?
Yeah, I was in New York.
Time? Okay.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, they're thinking about it. But I'm like, your agents are always going to tell you they're thinking about it. Like some good shit. Yeah, they're always going to be like, you're close. I'm like, all right, cool. So it wasn't until like they called me and explained and then sent the offer where I was like, oh, this is fucking real. So yeah, that's where it all took off.
Oh, okay, amazing. You said you were doing stand-up forever. Why did you start doing stand-up?
I started doing stand-up I was always stand-up adjacent. So, I got to see my brothers do stand-up, and that was cool. But then, a time in high school where they're like, you better go to college, or you better find a skill.
Make something of yourself.
Or something that you like doing for the rest of your life. And I was like, oh, and they were like, if you mess around in high school, you're not going to the college you want to go to. And I was like, oh, snap, I'm not going to the college I want to go to. So I was like, I better figure out something I want to do. So, yeah, I just started going to open mics. And, yeah, it really started as a plan for, like, my mom to let me stay out later. And then it morphed into a career.
That's hilarious. If someone's starting out, like you said, you start open mics, how does one, because obviously you do Laugh Factory, big stuff now, how does one start? Be like, I want to be a stand-up. Where do you start 5-minute sets to be like funny enough to get to the Laugh Factory?
You just start. That's it. You really just start. You go to open mics, you meet all the comics, and then the comics take care of each other. It's like its own system. So if you want to start comedy, there's nothing but time investment in comedy and trial and error. It's something you can't get better at by not doing it.
Right.
You have to do it. So. If I'm telling anybody start comedy, and don't start comedy to be famous on TikTok either. I'm annoyed at you guys. Like, people go to open mics and start their page the same day. I'm like, yo, don't
right,
do
like
that.
don't. Yeah. That's not the real journey. But how was your experience with getting agents? Because I don't know anything about stand-up. To then I also want to act. Agents. How was that?
I honestly have no idea how it aligned. I got a manager in New York, but like every manager I ever had, like some of you might have managers that like make you sign stuff. Like no manager ever makes me sign anything. They're always just like, hey man, we got you. Just in case. Okay, like they're never like 100% behind me. They're just like, yo, just in case this gets
book
hot.
something.
Yeah, just in case. Like, you seem like a likable guy. Like,
so, in case you book something without us, we'll take that percentage.
Like, so usually it's always hot and cold with my managers and whoever's representing me. So usually what happens is something happens around me that gets me hot, and then they are like, oh yeah. And yeah, that's what happened. I was in New York. This guy that ran a comedy club, he wanted to manage me, but he just put me in a side pocket, just so, like, you know, if somebody asks, he's like, I got him too, like,
right.
And I was in the side pocket forever, but then I just got better in the city, so, like, he started hearing more about me. So then he was like, okay, I think I can show him to an agent, and he not greedy, stock now.
Right?
Yeah, he not like, I don't look bad showing him to an agent, and the agent's like, who is this kid? So then they finally, what's funny is I did a basement show, like a show, it's not even in the regular Gotham, it was in the basement of Gotham. Like 10 people. I actually canceled the show that day. I was like, hey man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this show. And then my manager called me and was like, yo, I got somebody from UTA coming. And I had to call my friend back like, hey man, I can actually do your show. Like, this show I canceled on you, I actually can do that. So I went and got an agent, and then that led to the story I told you before of just like, they were like, you gotta come to LA. And then here you are. Yeah.
I was actually gonna ask you about the comic strip. I like was deep diving on the gram. Yeah. I kind of want you to explain that, where he auditioned for Comedy Place and got booked, but then you really wanted to, I guess, perform at another one, and they're like, we have too many black guys.
That's normal with comedy. Yeah, it's breaking now, but like back in the day, they used to say things like the unsaid rule in comedy is like, you don't put two black guys up back to back. And at first I was like, this is racist. But now, like, I'm like, if you put two black guys up in front of a crowd of white people that came to a comedy show and they don't know that it's a black show, if they see two black people in a row, they'll be like, wait, where did we come? So you kind of actually have to put the fucking one white person in to break it up. Unless it's chocolate sundaes.
Right.
And then,
which is real.
They kind of know where they're going. The comic strip is my home club in New York. That's where I got in as soon as I went to New York. They used to put me up at the end of the shows. That's how you audition. In New York, in comedy, once you leave the open mic stage, when it's time to move up, you'll start auditioning. You'll be like, yo, you're the booker, can I come in and audition for you? And that's when you come in, you do 5 minutes, and they're like, all right, we think you're good. Now we'll put you up when the checks come, when no one's paying attention, or we'll give you shitty spots, but you audition over and over again. You never really get out the auditioning phase, and I auditioned for a club, and I was auditioning for this club, and when I was done, they were like, yeah, I already have enough black guys talking about nothing. And maybe I think maybe it was like a whiplash situation. Maybe they were like, I'm lighting a fire under them, but really they just made me not like them.
Right. So stick with the people that do like you. I was thinking about that. And then I also saw a clip that you said that stand-up comedy is kind of the only art form that people don't respect. Like, people can watch a play and it could be bad and they won't talk through it.
Yes.
But they do that for comedy. Why do you think that is, and what do you think the future for stand-up looks like if we were to respect? I think you guys are so courageous. I don't know why people don't. I am always so fascinated by stand-up comics, but why do you think that is?
I don't know. It depends on the location. Location. Sometimes at like a bar show or like a lower, like, it's really how people respect comedy. Like, some people don't think it's comedy until it's a taping, until they're at the Laugh Factory on like a Friday night and it's packed. They might see like the Tuesday night show and be like, these are like the off guys or whatever. And I don't know. When people you can go see your niece do a crappy Charlotte's Web, and everyone in this play sucks. Like, these kids, they're like stuttering, like they practice barely, but the whole time, I can't say a word.
Right.
But for some reason, stand-up just does not get that at all.
Okay. All right, we'll lighten it. I'm the fun question, I guess, I always like to see for stand-up comedians, who would you have lunch with, dead or alive?
Who would I have lunch with, dead or alive?
Yeah.
Dead, I'll definitely sit with Richard Pryor. That's for sure. Alive, I already get to eat with those guys, so
humble brag.
Like, hey.
Okay, all right. Already eating with those people. So we'll end it off the same kind of question about It Takes a Universe to Raise a Star. Who are your stars starting out? If there's a specific person or scenario starting out, and then recently of where you are today,
Who stars,
like without
like,
a helping hand.
Wait, explain.
So It Takes a Universe to Raise a Star is basically fellow stars, artists in your industry that have helped you get you to where you are today.
Oh.
So when you're just starting out, the rough basement Gotham City level.
Oh, who is the guy? Who is the homie that has looked out regardless? I'll have to. Friends in this industry, number one. You can do all the work, but you have to be a person. You have to, like, after a while, be like, all right, this is a skill. I'm gonna activate my skill when this is needed. You have to put life in between things and have real relationships. And one of the best relationships I have is with my friend Pete Davidson. I've known Pete since he was 16, outside of like an open mic in the city, and we've just been homies since. And being friends with him has, you know, just kept me in a lot of conversations.
Okay, amazing. And how about now?
How about now? Who's the people? You know what? I like everyone I'm around now. I really just feel like I like everybody now. I feel like it's a really good time in Hollywood because there's no. I don't know. You've got to know the rules to be here, but now the rules are sort of bending, so there's really no way to do it. You know, there's really no sound way. You can kind of do it however you want, and I really, really like that. I think, I'm interested in seeing where the game goes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's give it up for Jordan Ross.